Hey everyone, George here. Today I just wanted to sit down for a few minutes and talk to you about the 2015 found footage horror film Hell House LLC. This film was written and directed by Stephen Cognetti, and this film stars Danny Bellini, Ryan Jennifer Jones, Adam Schneider, Jared Hacker, and Gore Abrams. With that out of the way, let me tell you what this film is about. A group of friends open a haunted house attraction in an abandoned hotel in upstate New York. On opening night, something goes horribly wrong, resulting in the deaths of several people. Years later, a documentary crew investigates what really happened, thus uncovering the terrifying supernatural events that led to that tragedy. So this film really is the little horror movie that could. Since its release, it has found a cult following, and multiple sequels have come out since it was made back in 2015. Now, I know there are a ton of found footage films out there, but this one does actually stand out. It has a mystery at the core of this film. The driving force for the narrative and for the audience is to figure out what actually happened that night that claimed the lives of multiple people at Hell House LLC's haunted house attraction. And also you want to figure out why local law enforcement is covering up all the information about that night. So right off the bat, this film is intriguing, and I will say this about the movie. The opening minutes of the film felt a bit cheesy and forced, but don't let that discourage you if you, of course, feel the same way that I did when watching this movie. This film does a great job crafting a more or less likable cast of characters. It does a great job setting up a creepy location. And also this film does a good job sort of pacing the story out for you. What I enjoyed most about this film is the attention Stephen Cognetti gave to this story. He builds up the mystery very well, and as the film inches closer and closer to the opening night, you start to see the story fleshed out, and you get to see all the pieces being put in place for the tragedy that you witness at the beginning of the film to actually take place. And of course, by the end of the film, when you see for the second time the tragedy play out, you're given new vantage points and also more context as to what actually happened on opening night. Aside from the entertaining way that the story rolls out for you, the real star of this film is the location itself. The location emits an atmosphere that many found footage films try to achieve but can't. A majority of this film is set in an abandoned hotel turned haunted house attraction. The film feels restricted and tight, and you get the sense of claustrophobia when the camera is moving through this location. This hotel is full of creepy mannequins, dim lighting setups, and movements that are just off frame. And honestly, Stephen Cognetti takes all these elements and puts it together and really gives you this very eerie, very spooky experience. One thing that I usually have an issue with, but I think it actually works in the favor for this film, is that I feel like I had no idea, absolutely no idea, what the layout of this hotel was. And usually that's a problem, right? And a misstep from the filmmaker. But I really think that this worked in the film's favor. This film really is a claustrophobic experience, and you're surrounded by all these tight hallways that the cameraman, when he's moving through these shots, he's always like squeezing around like attractions that are still in the process of being built. And it really gives you this feeling of restriction. My only real gripe with this film is that sometimes the camera is so shaky that I have no idea what I'm looking at. Also, the camera like moves so quickly too, like and they freak out and the camera moves. And I don't know what I was looking at. I don't know why the people were so scared. There were a couple times I had to actually rewind the film and like watch the scene play out again in order to even just comprehend as to what was going on screen. Even though I got annoyed a couple of times by the shaky camera and the quick moments, it's actually this exact aspect that makes the movie feel like it's a true found footage film. Like, the movie felt real because of the bad camera work, honestly. Not only the shaky camera, but the way that the shots weren't really blocked too well gave this feeling of realism. And also, what worked in its favor was the fact that these actors were just unknown actors. So you really did feel like you were watching something that you weren't supposed to be watching. Like you were watching someone's like personal diary or you were like watching something that was real. So, because of the shaky camera and sort of these unblocked shots and these unknown actors, you really did feel like you were like watching something that really took place, honestly, at times, of course, not the entire film. And okay, so I may, right now, contradict myself a little bit when I'm talking to you about these characters. And because these actors are unknown, I did feel like their dialogue and delivery was a little forced. And I read somewhere that the dialogue was improvised in parts, and I really do think that shows because, I don't know, I really was not feeling some of the delivery and some of the dialogue choices in this movie, and it actually pulled me out, which was unfortunate because there were many times it just felt really real at times. And then other times it just felt like really staged and very fake. But I will say this though, that even though I didn't like the acting at times and I didn't like the dialogue at times, I did, for the most part, I did enjoy the characters. Not all of them, but the guy who was recording the footage, thankfully, he was the most entertaining character in this film. And after the opening minutes of the film, the characters and the dialogue do actually grow on you to the extent that everything feels more natural as you get past the opening minutes of this film. And as you move through the rest of this film, you will be pleasantly surprised at how this low-budget found footage horror film really does keep you dialed in. I mean, it's certainly not going to give you the same emotions you'll get when you saw the Blair Witch Project or Paranormal Activity for the first time, but it is a nice little found footage horror film that pulls off way more than it actually should. This film really does go further than you expect, and the budget for this movie was only $25,000, which is why I consider this the little horror movie that could. Stephen Cognetti really did a great job and told a pretty well-crafted film on such a small budget. Rather than relying on gore and jump scares or even on-screen violence, Hell House LLC opts for psychological horror and builds slow burn tension that really gets under your skin at times. Well, that is the film Hell House LLC. It is really a fun, creepy, enjoyable little horror film. And if you like found footage movies, I say this film is a must-watch. It's not going to blow your mind, but it really is a fun, entertaining, creepy little movie. So if you've never seen this, I'd say, go right now and watch this movie. And if you've already seen it, I say, go right now. Go watch it again because the movie really is that enjoyable. Bye.